This is Studio 809.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Outdoors Hiking Bob podcast. I am your host, Hiking Bob Falcone. You can find me and everything you may want to know or not know about me on my website, hikingbob.com, with links to my social media accounts, my column, The Colorado Springs Independent, all the many other podcasts I've done, my photography website, and how to contact me if you have any questions or suggestions or comments. All that stuff you can find at hikingbob.com. Today I have a guest and from an organization you may not have heard of, but you've probably been on places they've done work. And it's CJ Runge from the regional manager, tell me if I got that right, of the Mile High Youth Corps. Do I have that right, CJ?
Yep, that's correct. Thanks for having me, Bob.
Well, thanks for being on. You know, I don't know how I haven't had you on before because you guys do so much work in this region, but tell us about what is Mile High Youth Corps and what you guys do.
Yeah, so Mile High Youth Corps is a nonprofit organization that engages young people to serve their communities, develop themselves as leaders and as teammates, and have a positive impact on the environment. We have a handful of different programs and offices located in both Colorado Springs and Denver, but the program that I am representing today is a land conservation program based out of Colorado Springs.
So would it be correct to say that your work is involving things like trail construction, trail maintenance, that kind of stuff? Is that a good description?
Yeah, absolutely. So we bring together young people ages 18 to 24 from all different backgrounds and life experiences and provide them with paid service opportunities to complete land conservation projects across 23 counties in Colorado. So things like trail construction, habitat restoration, fire mitigation, and park development. So the folks who serve with us, they join a crew of 8 to 10 other people, and they travel around Colorado. They travel around our service area, completing all kinds of different projects.
That sounds awesome. How long has Mile High Youth Corps been in existence?
Yeah, so we're actually coming up on our 30-year anniversary this year, which is very exciting. We have a great legacy here in Colorado.
Cool. And you mentioned that you have these 8 to 10 person crews. How many do you typically have? I imagine you do this during the spring to fall season. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. So we have a couple of different programs. We have our Land Conservation Leader program, we have our Summer of Service program, and our Fall Forestry program. So the Summer of Service program is exactly what it sounds like. It happens in the summer. The Fall Forestry program occurs in the fall, and the Land Conservation Leader program runs from March through mid-November. And that is a smaller group of folks who will be the crew leaders throughout our Summer of Service season and our Fall Forestry season. So in the springtime, we've got our leaders who start with us in March. They go through an extensive leadership training and technical training so that they are prepared to lead our summer cruise. Mid-May is when our summer crews come on, and this year we'll be running 5 Summer of Service crews, all of 8 to 10 folks. So working with a lot of young people this year. And that season runs mid-May through mid-August. There is a small break in there, and then we'll run another program in the fall that is mid-August through the end of October.
And what does your forestry part of things do?
The Fall Forestry program, they do all the same types of project work as our Summer of Service season. Those are just the names that we use to refer to those different seasons, if you will. So this year, we have a lot of really exciting projects going on this year. The 5 crews we're running this summer, we're actually starting orientation on Monday. So on May 23rd, this upcoming Monday, we're going to have a bunch of folks come on. They're going to go through 2 weeks of orientation and technical training. and then split up amongst our 5 crews. And some of the work that we're doing includes trail building. We're working with the Rocky Mountain Field Institute on the Devil's Playground reroute. We're doing a lot of fire mitigation in the town of Green Mountain Falls and up at Mueller State Park. We've got several weeks at Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument doing park development and trail maintenance. So a lot of great stuff on the docket this summer.
So you've hit there a federal land, a state land, and a local land. That's pretty good. You've got a lot of different entities that you work with. Is that pretty common that you've spread out? Like you said, Florissant Fossil Beds and Mueller State Park, and is Green Mountain Falls something you're contracted with the town, or is that something that you're doing with the Forest Service?
This is a partnership with the town of Green Mountain Falls, and this work is actually funded through the Colorado Wildfire Strategic Action Program. So there's a lot of state dollars available for communities in the wildland-urban interface to address overgrown forests. And the town of Green Mountain Falls applied for some funding to employ a Mile High Youth Corps crew to come do some forest thinning, and they were successful. So yeah, really excited to get out there and work with them this year. It is pretty common for us to have projects with both local, state, and federal partners. We do a lot of work with the Forest Service, National Park Service, Bureau of Land Management, a lot of work with cities and counties, and as well as Colorado Parks and Wildlife and local nonprofits like Rocky Mountain Field Institute and Historicorps are just a couple. And
what geographical, you kind of mentioned so many counties, is it kind of like the southeastern corner of Colorado from like Colorado Springs kind of south and east, or what kind of area do you typically cover?
Yeah, so we go, it is really like the southeastern counties of Colorado. So we go as far south as the New Mexico border, as far east as the Kansas border. So a lot of projects, we've done a lot of projects down in Trinidad and out in Bent County, and really have a very large geographical area. And for that reason, our crews will camp on site when they're completing their projects to be closer to the project area.
And how long do these projects work? I mean, when a crew signs up, is it something that's going to last all season? Or are they going to work on this project, maybe takes 2 weeks, and then move on to the next one? How do these projects work?
Yeah, good question. It really depends on what our partners need. So the smallest duration of a project is 1 week. But we could have projects lasting an entire season. So we've got our summer of service crew season is 10 weeks long, and we've got a couple crews serving on the same projects for the entire duration of the summer. So from 1 week up to 10 weeks, and sometimes even longer, projects can span multiple seasons. So it really depends on what our partners need.
Gotcha. You talked about you bring in crew. I imagine that, well, I shouldn't imagine. Let me ask you, do you have people who sign up to work with you guys? Your crew members, do they return year after year? I know you said they're from 18 to 24, so obviously there's a lower and upper age limit, but or is this like they do it for one summer, then they move on? How does that work with the people you bring on to work with you?
Yeah, it depends. It also depends. So the beauty that I find in our program is that it can be whatever folks need it to be. So sometimes folks are joining us and they are looking for a fun summer job. Cool, we'll check that box. Other folks join us and they're looking to pursue a career in natural resources, but they don't know where to get their foot in the door. They don't know where they can develop those skills. So we're a great place for folks to develop those hard skills that they can take and then go pursue a career in natural resources. Some folks are looking to develop as leaders and will serve multiple seasons with us and then come back and be our crew leaders. We have a lot of different opportunities for the Corps members in our program, and really the the goal is to bring them on. There's no experience required. They can come join us. And the goal is to get them those hard and soft skills that they need to be successful in whatever their next steps are.
Awesome. And how do you go about bringing on people each year? Are you looking for anything specific when people come and apply to work for you? Summer of Service, which I think is a great name for that group, but it also sounds like it might be people who have a specific thing they're required to do, if that makes any sense, or if that's just a great name. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking of things like, is it a community service thing or something like that? Or are you looking for anything specific when somebody signs up?
Not really. We're looking for folks who want to serve their communities. They want to grow as individuals. All you really need to have is a high school diploma or be pursuing it and be a lawful permanent U.S. resident. You need to fall within our age range, but other than that, everyone is welcome to serve with us in our program. We've got folks who are, just really from a diverse range of life experiences and backgrounds. And that is, to me, one of the most interesting things about working at Mile High Youth Corps is just seeing all the different kinds of folks that come serve with us and seeing, how they are when they enter the program, how they develop while they're serving with us, and then just kind of where they're at when they leave the program. This experience can be really life-changing for a lot of reasons. For me personally, I had completed college and didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And I joined Mile High Youth Corps as a Corps member. And throughout my time serving as a Corps member, I learned so much about myself and had experienced a lot of fulfillment from serving my community. I made best friends that that have changed my life. I've learned a lot from my coworkers, and just like, it's amazing to see the impact that this program has on people. So really, to go back to your question, no, we're not looking for anything super specific, just folks who are looking for that next step and ready to do something challenging and make a difference and grow.
Cool. Is the work you guys do, is it mostly handwork, or you guys do any mechanized stuff, or are you out there with chainsaws, or is it mostly like I do when I'm out doing trail work? Is it mostly pickaxes and McLeods and other tools, just moving dirt? What's the variety of equipment that you might be using when you're out there?
Yeah, it's mostly hand tools and power heads. So we've got hand crews that complete trail work. So they do new trail construction, they do trail maintenance. They'll build structures like timber staircases and rock walls. Our hand crews also do things like habitat restoration and park development. And then our chainsaw crews, they do forest thinning, defensible space projects, and invasive tree removal, where we're removing invasive woody species along waterways. So it's mostly, our hand crews, they've got pickmatics, McLeods, flat shovels, loppers, hand saws, rock slings, all the things you need to do, trail work with. And our saw crews are all equipped with chainsaws, which is, they're all trained in how to operate chainsaws. All of our folks who serve on our saw crews go through S212 wildland fire chainsaw training. So they're leaving with that industry recognized certification that, a lot of future employers might be looking for.
But you're not out there doing things with bulldozers or backhoes or anything like that?
No, not typically. Sometimes our project partners have things like augers or mini X's that they are using, and sometimes they'll show our crews how to use them. The one big piece of equipment that we do have and use is a chipper to process trees that we removed from fire mitigation projects or invasive tree removal projects.
Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about where we might have seen some of your work. I hike all over the place, and a lot of the people listening to this podcast hike all over this Pikes Peak region and this part of the state. Give us an idea of what trails I might have been on that you either built or fixed or did some work on. Where have you guys done work at in the past? We know you're this season you're doing stuff, in this area in Mueller and Florissant fossil beds and stuff. But what trails may I have been on, or other people been on that you guys have worked on?
Yeah, gosh, well, probably a lot, and I'm gonna have to tap into the deep parts of my memory here to think back on our previous project schedules. But we've done work on trails at the Garden of the Gods. We've done a lot of work on Bard Trail in partnership with Rocky Mountain Field Institute, Red Rock Canyon Open Space, a lot of CPW trails like the Dixon Trail. We've done a lot of work on. Let's see. In Green Mountain Falls, we've worked on several trails there. So there's the Pittman Trail that we've worked on before. In the city of Manitou Springs, we've worked on Red Mountain and the Intamin Trail. So those are some, to name a few. But if you've been out hiking in the area, chances are Mile High Youth Corps has been on or near one of those trails.
All the places you've named, I've touched every one of those trails in some manner. So I imagine most anybody listening here has done that. And just this past week, I was in Green Mountain Falls on a couple of the trails: the Catamount Trail, the Thomas Trail, the Crystal Falls Trail. That's the Death March up the Crystal Falls Trail. I forget how many switchbacks there are on that one, but holy cow, there's a lot up in that 1 mile stretch up that one. It's switchback after switchback after switchback. So I've been on a lot of those trails, and obviously have seen a lot of your work, and obviously working with Rocky Mountain Field Institute, who does tremendous amount of work in here. Do you find that do most of the people who have worked with you, do they stay in this field of work when they leave? Either they do it for a season and go somewhere else, or they hit 24 years old and then it's time to move on. Do you find that the next time you go out Rocky Mountain Field Institute, there's one of your people working for them? Have you seen, is that what happens with most of them?
Yeah, actually, we have had a lot of our Corps members move on to join RIMFE, but we've got folks across the country who have stayed in this work. We've got folks fighting fires in Alaska. We've got district wildlife managers at CPW, wildlife techs with CPW, restoration project managers. Like, a lot of folks stay in this line of work, and they, kind of have a lot of times they have started their career really with us. But not everyone continues in this work. But when they're serving with us, they have the opportunity, if they complete their term of service, to receive an education award. So everyone with us is enrolled in Americorps, and if they complete their term of service, they'll receive a monetary reimbursement of what's called an Americorps Education Award, and they can use that to really at any educational institution or to pay off student loans. So a lot of times folks, they may not pursue a career in natural resources, but they receive, a lot of benefits that help them kind of take that next step in their career development.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely does. And it makes sense too that this is a good way for people, like you said, to figure out what they want to do with their lives. It makes sense that some people may say, this isn't exactly what I want to do. Realize that that's a lot of hard work.
It is. Yeah. And some folks join us and they've never picked up a tool before, or they've never slept in a tent before. And whether or not they want to do that ever again, by the time they leave us, they're still, having a life-changing experience. I find it to be pretty life-changing. And yeah, just exposure to a lot of different types of people. We have a lot of educational opportunities within our program and career readiness training. So we're really all about just developing young people and kind of responding to their needs so that they can move on from this program in a better place than when they started.
Cool. And I really like that you guys are linked up with Americorps. So that's kind of an added bonus that they're in that system, I guess, so to speak. And it works out with that. That's pretty cool that you're part of that. I did not know that about you guys, that you were linked up with them. So
Yeah, yep. Every Corps member who serves with us is also enrolled in Americorps.
Neat. So there's
Which
also
is for folks who don't really, for folks who may not know, Americorps is kind of like the Peace Corps, but in the United States of America. It's a federal agency that brings people together to address community needs through paid service opportunities or volunteering.
awesome. So they get credit from them and everything for when they're working with you guys.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. How is Mile High Youth Corps? We kind of talked about it's about a 30-year-old organization. How is your organization? You mentioned it's a nonprofit. So how are you guys funded? Besides, I mean, I'm sure that when you contract with a town or a park or something, they pay you. But overall, how is your system? How is your organization funded in general?
Yeah, it's through a lot of different avenues of funding. We do receive funding from Americorps, and they reimburse a lot of our Corps member wages. A lot of our project work is funded through different funding streams or grant opportunities through Great Outdoors Colorado, Colorado Water Conservation Board. Yeah, it's kind of a multitude of different ways that we are funded.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's pretty typical with nonprofits. So it's a little bit from here, a little bit from there, some from this guy and some from that place. And that's not unusual at all. Do you typically or at all create your own projects? Do you go out and look for a project that needs to be done? So you're aware of something on a Forest Service land that needs a thinning, or is it pretty much they have a project and they come to you to get it accomplished?
It's a mixture of both. So my role at Mile High Youth Corps is to maintain, strong relationships with our local, state, and federal land management partners. And I in maintaining these relationships and these partnerships, I know a lot of times what their needs are, and sometimes they don't have the monetary resources to get this work done. So sometimes if there is a funding opportunity or a grant that I become aware of, I will approach my partner and say, hey, it seems like this project would be a really good fit for this grant. Would you like to partner on an application? And a lot of times the answer is yes, right? Because our land managers, they need as much help as they can get. Other times we will be approached by partners and they'll say, we have, money in our budget to hire a Mile High Youth Corps crew to come, complete 2 weeks of project work with us, or they'll approach us and ask us if we want to partner on an application. So it's a good mixture of both things. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was looking for. When somebody signs up with you, if somebody signs up to be on one of your crews, you said the season is about 10 weeks. So you've got a full 10 weeks worth of work ready for them. You said everybody's starting up here pretty soon. When they come in, they know they're going to be working for 10 straight weeks. You got it all lined up and everything already?
Yep. So that's another big part of my job is lining up the project schedule. So our 5 crews that are joining us on Monday, they each have their 10-week project schedule built out. I even have our fall season built out right now. So all of this is kind of determined ahead of time. And this often is how we determine how many crews we can run. If we have a lot of project work, we know we could hire more people to get those projects done. But the folks who are starting on Monday, they have a good idea of whether or not they're going to be on a saw crew or a hand crew, whether or not it's going to be a day crew, meaning they'll just go out and come back at the end of every day, or if it's going to be a camping crew. Some of our camping crews go out for 9 days at a time. The reason for that is usually the project site, it may be hard to get to. So to minimize, time spent traveling or hiking in, we'll stay out there for longer periods of time. So yeah, their schedule's all built out and we're ready to go. So we've got, a project coordinator who is hitting the project sites with our partners and talking through the logistics of each project. Before we send a crew out to any project, our project coordinators going out there and getting a tour of the work site, lining up all the logistical needs, where camp's going to be, where they're going to get water, what tools they need, accessibility, emergency procedures, all of those things we have figured out before sending our crews out there so that they can be successful.
I imagine hiring younger people like you are, that most of them probably are showing up without any experience. You mentioned some people have probably never touched any one of these tools that they'll be using. So is this like a train as you go kind of a thing, or do you have a training session before you send them out into the field? How does that work?
Yeah, there is a training session before they go out. So they undergo 2 weeks of training. That first week is orientation, where they learn all the basics of, what it means to be a Corps member, some soft skill training. They learn about Americorps. They learn about us as an organization. They meet their crews and do team builders and things like that. And that their second week serving with us is dedicated to technical training. So if they're on a saw crew, they go through a 4-day chainsaw training. If they're on a hand crew, they go through a 4-day trail training. Their technical training really is catered to the work that they're going to be completing during their season. So it looks different for our different crews. And then that third week, they roll out on their projects. And, I think they continue to learn as they go. It's not expected that they are going to be exactly where they need to be technically.
Sure.
With, these hard skills that they're learning, and they'll learn throughout their season. And that's often where our crew leaders are, coming in and facilitating that learning even more so, both learning, increasing their capacity with, the technical skills, but also leading them through conflict management training, group dynamics, really that soft skill development, what it means to work on a team. And then our project partners also play a pretty crucial role in our Corps members' learning development with those hard skills. We have our project partners, they'll be on site, at the very, very least that first day of a project, but they're often there throughout the project and able to give kind of real-time feedback on the work that's being completed. And that a lot of times our project partners will, talk about their career and how they got to be where they're at. And it's a great networking opportunity for our Corps members as well.
So you're making sure that they all come back with the same number of fingers they started out with, too.
Oh, yes. Yep. All the fingers, please.
Yeah. No.
We definitely emphasize safety. That's part of that first week of training is risk management, safety, and they begin each day with a stretch and safety circle. They review a job hazard analysis and are debriefing every day, things that have come up that need to be addressed. But all the fingers and all the toes must return at the end of the hitch.
That's good, and no doubt that safety is not myself as a crew leader. Safety is always a big issue. Watch where you're swinging those tools and make sure nobody's too close, and learn that you're using the tool correctly. So all that is obviously essential stuff for anybody doing this kind this kind
Right.
of work. It's pretty cool that what you refer to as the soft skills that they're learning, because I think at that age that you're talking about, that age group you're talking about, they may not have developed those um, the skills that come with age, but how to work with other people and how to deal with land managers and solve problems that come up along the way. It's really cool that that's also part of their training, not only before they go out, but while they're out there, is how to
Hmm.
deal with all that kind of stuff. Those are great life skills that even if they decide not to stay in this kind of field, they're going to help them as they move along in wherever direction their careers go in.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. Education is a huge part of our program. Um, I may have mentioned this already. Forgive me if I did, but 1 hour of every day is dedicated to education. Um, so that a lot of times can be facilitated by our partners in the field or our crew leaders. And we also do some in-house education. So things like career readiness training, where we're reviewing, how to put together a federal resume if you want to pursue a job with the federal government. How the heck do you navigate USA jobs? We try to decode a lot of that for folks and work with them on their resumes. We'll do speed interviewing and try to provide that career readiness training that they need. And we also do a lot of in-house diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings for our folks. And all of our Corps members, we've got wraparound supportive services. So, a lot of folks, they might be dealing with barriers around finding an affordable place to live in Colorado Springs. So we've got folks who can assist with that. All of our folks are eligible to be on SNAP food benefits. Any gear that they might need to serve with us, a tent, sleeping bag, even things like a day pack or boots, we can help. We can either provide or reimburse folks for a lot of those things. Mental health counseling, our Corps members have access to free counseling sessions through a local counseling agency in Colorado Springs. Health insurance, really all sorts of stuff. And while they're serving with us, they can also put their student loans on forbearance, so they don't have to make payments on student loans if they have them. So yeah, we really try to do a lot for our Corps members and support them so that they have a positive experience and can leave the program in a better place than when they started.
That's awesome. That's a lot of good stuff that you guys provide for your crew members. What is the general salary range that you're paying somebody when they're out there doing their 10 weeks with you guys?
Yeah, so our crew members receive a biweekly stipend, and it is called a stipend really because it's a paid service opportunity. So
Gotcha.
it's not exactly a wage, but it's pretty good for Americorps members. Our base Corps member pay is $960 every 2 weeks, which comes out to about $12 an hour. And then folks who are serving with us, once you add in that monetary reimbursement of the education award, that for our summer service Corps members is around $1,700. So it's when you break it down hourly, it's like I said, it's about 12, but there's a lot of other resources and the education award that will go a long way. And then that pay increases, with as you grow as a leader, and you might be serving as a Corps member driver or an assistant crew leader or a crew leader or a senior crew leader. Our money, the base pay, the pay goes up kind of from there. So, yeah.
Cool. That's great. Actually, for an 18-year-old, that's not bad money at all. That's certainly pretty good.
And I can tell you it's gone up a lot more since when I was a Corps member. It's kind of amazing how much the stipend has increased just over the past few years. So we definitely recognize that, it's tough to make ends meet as a young person, especially in this state and in this city. So we try to pay our Corps members well as best we can.
Cool. You kind of mentioned that you help, some of the training you do is with helping them write resumes and stuff. Do you help them with job placement and when it's time for them to move on? Is that part of the thing that you also do with them? If you hear any
Yep.
openings and point them in the right direction?
Yeah, exactly. We have uh, a, well, every core member we try to make sure has something lined up when they leave us.
Oh,
So
cool.
a lot of times that looks like it's conversations with them as the end of their term is approaching. It's like, what do you have lined up next? Do you need someone to review your resume? Do you want someone to review your cover letter? Do you need someone to be a reference? We're oftentimes references for a lot of folks. And a lot of our partners who we work with will share job opportunities with us that we put on a job board. We have a Mile High Youth Corps alumni job board. It's just like a Google Doc, but we populate it with all kinds of different job opportunities. And we really try to help make sure folks are placed, when they are completing our program. And a lot of times we also will follow up with them even, the following year after several months have passed since they completed our program. If they didn't have a job lined up when they left us, we'll continue following up until we know they have something set up. So once they leave, you're not going to stop hearing from us after you complete the program. We want to support you as much as we can.
It seems like that you're a good way for the people you partner with, whether it be the government or, like you said, Rocky Mountain Field Institute, to, it's kind of like an audition for your members if those agencies are going to be looking for people to hire. Well, we've worked with this person for these 10 weeks or whatever. They did this project for us. They were a really great employee. We might ask them or encourage them to apply with us when we have an opening or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely happened before. Um, yeah, it's a great opportunity for folks to network if they're, serving on a project or working alongside a project partner who they really like and they want to continue this type of work. Um, a lot of our folks will take initiative and stay in touch, ask for those project partners' phone numbers, and yeah, keep in touch and potentially join their workforce after they leave us. Um, it's pretty cool. Yeah, we've got a lot of folks. There's been a couple projects where our project partners have been alumni of our program, which is always interesting. And I think our core members love to see that too. They're working with a wildlife technician, and this person is an alumni of the Mile High Youth Corps program, so they can see like, wow, I really can, pursue a job in this, and there are opportunities for me out there after I complete this program.
That's great. I mean, that's pretty awesome that, they have those resources available and those examples available of how they can just keep moving forward in their career. I think that's pretty awesome that you do that. CJ, this has been a great learning experience for not only me, but I'm sure the listeners and what you do. Um, is there anything else you want to tell us about Mile High Youth Corps that I may have not asked you about yet?
Oh, I mean, I feel like I could talk about Mile High Youth Corps for a very long time. I'm very passionate about this organization and the impacts that we have not only on the people who serve with us, but the environment and the communities that we serve in. Um, and yeah, I would just encourage anyone who's listening, who maybe you're listening and you're 18 to 24, and this sounds like a cool employment opportunity, to come check us out. Um, I think you'll be pretty excited and just interested to see what it's like to be a core member. And really, anyone, come by and swing by our office. I'll paint a picture for you real quick, but we're located right in the heart of Colorado Springs, right downtown, and we've got a pretty large building. But when you walk into our office, it is fairly small. We've got 8 staff members who are all kind of packed into this little office, who are doing all the behind the scenes work to make this program operate. But where the magic really happens and where all the exciting stuff is out in our warehouse, which is huge. And I just want you to see it. I wish that I had the ability in this podcast to kind of project a picture of what the warehouse looks like. But when you walk in there, we've got a whole back wall full of hundreds of trail tools. We've got a chainsaw workbench and a huge fleet of chainsaws with, chains hanging up on the walls. We've got wheelbarrows hanging from the walls. Tiered racking full of all the camping gear you could ever think of, coolers, dish bins, first aid kits.
Sounds like a combination of a REI and a Home Depot.
Right. Yeah, we do have those those orange and blue racks that you see at Home Depot, like 3-4 levels high with all sorts of stuff piled up on them. And if you go upstairs, you'll see we've got hundreds of tents and sleeping bags and rain gear, hard hats, PPE, and it's truly like a wonderful thing. And I want everybody to experience what it's like to be a Corps member, or what it's like to see a Youth Corps crew out in the field. So if you want to come see us in action, definitely reach out to me and see where we might be working, and you could see a crew in action. Or like I said, if you're a young person and this sounds interesting, then you should come work for us, because we are still hiring. We've got programs starting on Monday, but we're also, hiring kind of on a rolling basis to keep our crews full. Sometimes we'll have opportunities come up mid-season. So if you're just interested in joining us, come check us out. And yeah, I think that's about it that I have to say.
Sure. What's a website that people can look you up on so they can contact you and see more of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so it's www.milehighyouthcorps.org, and we're on all the social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We've got some really funny TikToks that some of our Corps members have been putting up this year. I would definitely encourage you to check them out. It's a great way to see what it's like to be a Corps member.
Awesome. And I'm looking up your website now. Everything is on there, so they can find out everything they need to know and contact you and all that kind of stuff right there on your website then.
Yep. Yeah. Also, we've got some great videos on YouTube too. So check us out. Just Google us and something will come up.
Well, CJ, it was great having you on. I know you and I attend a lot of the same meetings and stuff, but for some reason it just didn't dawn on me to have you on the podcast. So for that, I apologize for not getting on sooner than 300 some odd episodes, but I'm glad you had time to spend with me today and talk about your group. You guys do a lot of great work out there. I think I even know one of your alumni from years and years ago who I've hiked with and who has pursued a career kind of doing this kind of stuff. So I think that's
what I like to hear.
Yeah, it's really great. So I'm looking at your website, and sure enough, apply now and donate and all kinds of good stuff on there. Nice looking website. So check that out. It's Mile High Youth Corps, and that's Corps with an S.org. And that's where you'll find CJ and the crew, and you can get more information about that. CJ, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Really enjoyed this time. And yeah, I'll catch you at our next meeting.
Whatever meeting it is, somehow or another, we end up in the same place.
Yep.
All right, everybody, and thank you for listening to the Outdoor with Hiking Bob podcast.
Before you go, did you know you can rate and review our Studio 809 podcasts? That will help us, because our egos really need to have thousands and thousands of listeners. But that helps our wonderful sponsors reach more ears too. And we do love our sponsors. So just go to Studio 809 or any individual 809 podcast in your iTunes or podcast app and click on ratings and reviews. Thanks.